Hello, beautiful women, and welcome back to another interview in Embody the Empress, where we are looking at how to blossom and flourish in harmony with the natural world. Today, I am delighted to introduce you to Suzi Zobrist. Suzi is a spiritual mentor, a ceremonial body worker, and a womb wisdom keeper. And we're going to dive into what all those things mean as we move forward. But firstly, welcome, Suzi, and thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much, Edwina. I'm so honored to be here.
So, I want to dive back in time in order to capture your story, where along the way you really were led by intuition and inner knowing, and where perhaps you got pulled off course by the external world, by direction from other people. And so let's go back in time to your launch pad into womanhood. And each of the speakers that have been in this series intuitively start at a particular place. I tend to think of our tool bag really being filled between 14 and 21. It's where when we're leaving school, we get that sense of I am capable of this, my beliefs are this, I fit into the world like this, these kind of thoughts. Some people have started at 9. Wherever you feel intuitively was a pivotal moment that was your kickoff into womanhood. Let's start there. So, who did you imagine you were, and what did you imagine your direction in life would be?
Thank you for asking this question. It's interesting. I haven't really in my life reflected so far back because I had I've had a couple of pivotal moments that came after that time period. And so when I think back to myself at that young age, I really held the good girl so close to my heart, really wanting to do things right. And
Yeah.
I had a very dominating father, and really, in so many ways, was who I was always looking to for approval in my life. And so I was the good girl. I got really good grades and I've been like such a dutiful student. I still am a dutiful student. And so I really think about how that shaped my life. And I do love to learn. And it has been, a continual thread throughout my life is this really, I want to call it the spirit of inquiry, like what else is here, what's available for me. And I've always really connected in with the natural world. And, growing up as a young person, my family and I would travel. We had two places we really went to a lot, and one was to the forest, and the other was to the ocean, to the beach. And just to be able to be free and myself out there in the world and to, discover and felt like such an easy time with my family. And in so many ways, I could throw off those shackles of needing to do things right. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about when you're outside in the nature. And that has continued to be a place of homecoming for me is the natural world. And I was actually an artist when I was growing up. I did a lot of artwork, and it's something that I put down when I went away to university because I thought, well, I'll never be able to, make money as an artist in the world. And so I put that down. And it was later, when I was about 23 years old, that I came to the path of yoga. And really, it was like this really big spiritual awakening for me that I could take a time and focus in on me, on my breath, and on my body, and actually know how I felt and what it was that I needed. And so it was through that first, I want to say discovery, like that's like in like a big moment in my mind of that realization of like, oh, wow, I can actually change my life through focusing in on myself and my breath and my body. And that led me in to deepen this practice. And so I always think about my body work practice, which is yoga, and of course, massage therapy, hands-on healing work, as artistry. It's become my art, but it's the art through the nature, because my body and the bodies of the people that I work with, we are of the land, we are of the nature. So I'm just seeing that through this question, how I'm kind of thinking about my upbringing and the way that the walks on the beach and the forest and all of that informed that for me. And the good girl, the wanting to do things right, led me into like the anatomy, the physiology, the understanding of the workings of the human body. Like that kind of perfectionism really helped me excel in the knowing of the body. And of course, from there now, it's just completely grown and developed, and I'm not so attached to all of those things now.
Yeah. I love that you said being in nature sort of gave you the sense of being able to throw off the shackles of all the rules, and that sense of freedom that comes with being in nature. I love that you highlighted that. So from yoga, what was the, and obviously doing that study into anatomy and physiology and how our bodies work. So what was the progression from there?
Well, for me, when I when I decided that I wanted to become a yoga teacher, I know my teacher at the time, she really encouraged me to like find the person who resonates with you. And I actually was called to a teacher who brought in spirituality.
Right.
And she really, in a lot of ways, was that first person who introduced me to the elements, into the four directions, into Mother Earth and Father Sky, and to actually have the practices, the asana classes that I was teaching, that they were led as a ceremony,
Mm,
and that the hands-on adjustments that you would be doing in yoga class
yeah.
were about bringing healing touch. And I want to say again, it just kind of blew my mind. And so this for me is how my life always goes,
Mm,
is that I am led by spirit. That's no other way that I can say it. And that the right teacher shows up in my path to help me deepen my spiritual connection.
mhm.
And it has continued this way over and over and over again. So I felt in so many ways young, where I'm sitting now in my life, and yet I can see, you talked about gathering the tools, right? And so I can see the way that I wasn't just learning how to be a yoga teacher. It was like I am learning these hands-on healing ways, and yoga was just one way.
Yeah.
And then of course the classes that I was teaching then brought people in. They're like, oh, I want to make a change in my life. I want to get healthy, or whatever people think. And they go, I'm going to do yoga. And then in they would come and they'd meet me. And we did a lot more than just yoga inside my classrooms. And I did run a yoga studio for 20 years in my community, and really held that. I mean, really, I held a beautiful community healing center,
Mm,
and got to support a lot of people and other teachers. And so it felt like such a beautiful gift to offer back again to the community.
mm. I think, we so often as women through conditioning can tangle up the selfish beliefs that we gather along the way, that to focus on self is a bit self-obsessed, it's a bit vain, it's like those messages when we think about spending time really focusing on the self versus the active responsibility that is in reality to get to know who we are and to connect to our gifts, our voice, our place in the world. And I think we're so externally focused as a society, as a world. We're so externally focused. All our values that we're fed in this is a very broad stroke statement, but there's so much of our values come from everything being external. It's the house, the car, the job, the title, the all of those things. And so that's where all the time and energy is really channeled. But I think we're moving into an era now where there is deep knowing and wisdom that is starting to be spoken of much more freely about spending time getting to know who we are and um, being in the world from that place rather than being the good girl, behaving, following the shoulds, following the rule books, all of those things that have led most of our lives for so many years. There's a freedom coming, a much bigger conversation coming, that you get to be who you were born to be. And so I love hearing, like these little moments where you're connecting to that. And as you do, things unfold very naturally. So I know you had a pivotal moment that created a big change. Do you want to take us to that part of your story?
Yes. So when I was 30 years old, I ended up in my journey really wanting to become a mother. And through that, I wasn't conceiving. And I ended up finding out that I had ovarian cancer. So here I am, a young woman at 30, and I ended up having a radical hysterectomy and lost my womb. And it really changed the course of my life. I mean, just what you were talking about, it was like all of a sudden, it was like, what is actually most important in my life? My life is actually what's most important. And I really went into a state of shock and I was completely numb. It's like, first you have this radical surgery, then you lose your womb, your hormones like completely come offline.
Yeah.
You instantly go into menopause. So here I am, a young woman in a menopausal body. It's like I went right into the time of the crone and wanting to be a mother, and then up against life and death. And how am I going to navigate through this cancer?
Mm.
And I really went gray there for a time. I felt like Jekyll and Hyde with my hormones all over the place and just trying to navigate the emotional landscape of this. And then I realized that I didn't die and that I needed to choose life. And in that moment, I made the choice to start wearing pink every day for a year. And I wore bright pink. And it was like, you can't hide when you're wearing neon pink. And it was like this moment where I chose to live my life and to be seen and to be visible,
Yeah.
to no longer hide anymore. And the things that I had been putting off, the things that I said that I would do later, like even after all this time, I feel the emotion of it. It's like, we don't know how long we have. We cannot put those things off any longer. And it's like, what do I have to lose? Right? I have my life to lose. And so I really started to live in a really different way and do the things like be bold, be bright, be outspoken, even though I, hold the good girl really strong. It was like I felt that I want to say like my inner rebel really, like my voice got so much louder and stronger. And it's like this urging, this message is like, I need to speak about these things.
Yeah.
And what I found in my journey, this was back in 2000,
Mm.
when I was on my journey. And there wasn't education out there. I mean, literally, when I had my womb removed, the male doctor slapped an estrogen patch on my butt and said, good luck, and
Mm.
sent me out the door. And
Mm.
so there wasn't anyone out there to educate me about what do I do now? And so I had to become my own healer. I am my own healer. We all are. And so I needed to start to gather, like, all right, what's next? Where do I go? And luckily, I found some really amazing mentors and
Yeah.
healers that have been teaching me. And I've been gathering the tools. You spoke about that, gathering the tools so that I could heal myself, tend to myself. And I
Mm.
really saw that through this ovarian cancer that I was chosen. That was how I've always seen it. I was initiated into the path of the womb wisdom keeper.
Mhm.
It's like I was meant to remember these ancient teachings, these practices. I have to start with me. But then there was this urging, you must share it. Like the teacher in me is like, you need to share it in the classroom. You need to gather the women. You need to remember them home again. Keep sharing the teachings. And I continue to feel that urging in myself. I'm always off. My husband's always like, where are you going now? I
Mm.
said, I'm following spirit. Spirit's telling me, go here, go there, like gather more wisdom. In every place that I go, there's something, some little piece there for me to remember
Yeah.
for my own soul's purpose and path. And then there's something there that needs to be shared. So that is really what I've been doing now for the last 25 years is, sharing the teachings really with the womb as the focus. And the womb isn't just about um, birthing a child or birthing life. It's really the center of our creation, and there's so much there. It's such a rich landscape.
Yeah. Oh. It's a big part of this conversation is really looking at our stories through the lens of if life is happening for me, what is the wisdom that I gather from this experience? Because all the gold lies in these experiences. If we roll through life and everything's just fine and it's easy and it's, that there is the depth of wisdom is just not becomes non-existent. And I think, when we fail to see that, we miss out on really gathering the wisdom that comes from these really, really challenging times. And when you say it was your wake up to life is now, tomorrow is promised to no one, I found my sister dead at 49. And for me, that was one of those monumental wake up moments because I'd seen her 4 days before and she was completely healthy. She was not on any medication, there was nothing. And she had a brain aneurysm. Nobody could have predicted it. And she was gone 4 days later. And so it is never to live from a place of fear. That's not my message. In fact, my message is the exact opposite. It's to live from a place of love for the life that we have today, not living for some arbitrary point in the future when we get to go on holiday or when we have the money or when we fall in love or, if we can find that passion for life today, find our mission today, get excited about the fact that we woke up this morning, find the deep appreciation and gratitude for all the beautiful bits that we have in our life today, that's when life becomes so rich. So I want to hear more from you about our connection to our womb and the wisdom that is held there from. And you've touched on this, like this traditional wisdom that's come from generations and people that are women that are long gone, but the wisdom, the stories remain. And one day people will be hearing your story and learning from the wisdom that you're gathering now as well. And so I want to dive into that more. So how did it evolve that I can hear from the experience that you had from the cancer that you had and the awakening there, but how did your work really evolve from yoga to what you're doing now?
Well, really, I think that what I have felt over and over again, yoga and body work, it's all about learning how to tend to ourselves.
Mm.
And this is really what I see. I've been working with women for so long, 25 years. I've been really focused in on women's health, womb and pelvic care in particular. And what I see over and over again is that we wait too long before we tend to ourselves. And it's like we prioritize other people's needs before our own. And me too. And we've got our families, we've got our children, we've got our careers, we've got the household, we have all of these things. And it's like, and we feel that something's not quite right within ourselves, but then we don't really take the time to listen. It's like we put it off and we put it off, and then things start to accumulate.
Yeah.
And when we start to really look at the huge, long list of things that come out of that start to show up in the pelvic space of the female body, it's massive. And some of these things, and it's never, of course, ever just one thing. We've got a whole lived life. We've got our lineage. We've got experiences that we have had in our life that start to accumulate. And I feel like the womb is meant to hold. She's also meant to release. And so sometimes we hold things too long and then things start to build up. And so a lot of the work, and so the, kind of like that thread for me was, why did cancer take root in my womb? So anytime we're working with a body, I always feel like there's no mistake. All right. So for me in my life, it was my womb. So why there? That's what got me my deep inquiry that led me along the way. And we got to look at our emotions, right? It's like, and I feel like some of it was all of the ways that I repressed my own power as a young person. All of the ways that I felt so dominated that I couldn't really express. And it's like our ovaries. It's like, that's like that seed of life, that fire that lived there, right? And it's just like dampening it down. It became like this mass, this tumor. And man, I'll tell you, like to like really tap into the rage that I felt for having to hold myself so tight, to be so good, so perfect, so whatever it might have been. And maybe those of you that are listening can relate. And so, each of us, I believe, are going to have moments in our life where we're going to find ourselves on our knees. We're going to be tested. It's the grit. We have to move through it. Like that's our teaching. That's our medicine that is meant for us. And for me, it was cancer. For someone else, it might be the loss of a child. It might be a car accident. It might, it's like your sister, bless her, right? One of her journeys was, right? And we don't know how long we have. And so I really took it to heart to really look at this for me.
Yeah.
And I love working with the human body because all of us hold a story. And so where are these, beautiful pieces of the story for you? And how can we begin to listen to the wisdom of our body? And the womb can be one place that we can visit and listen to what's the voice of the womb, right? What is she trying to share and communicate with us?
Yeah. I know for many women, the understanding of how our thoughts can make us sick, the energy that can make us unwell, is still something that we're grappling with. We've grown up in a very mechanistic world where, it's all blamed on our DNA or, like something, so for women that get their breasts removed because they hold a certain gene. But we have this understanding now that is irrefutable of epigenetics and how it's something in our environment or thoughts that can turn our genes on and off. And so the conversation of energy that becomes blocked at that domination and like being the good girl and holding the truth of who we are strapped in, the ability to speak with clarity, the ability to say, no, that's not okay with me. Yes, I want that, even when everybody else thinks it's mad or it makes no sense. Or no, I'm not going to go to university. Or no, I'm not going to get married. Or no, I'm not going to have children. Or, like to be able to speak that in a way that is really clear and in alignment with our truth is one of the greatest struggles that women have, to say no. And when we have a dominating father figure or even a mother figure as well, or teachers or mentors or people in our life, and that feeling of like having to be out of alignment with the truth of who we are, to put ourselves in a tight little box with a tight little mind and to just follow the rules. This is so much of where dis-ease, being out of ease in our bodies, comes from. And I think the more that we hear the extraordinary stories like you, in your discovery and connection to spirit and movement in the body and a holistic path forward to healing. It's just so powerful. So I wanted to highlight that. Your understanding, you talk about studying anatomy and physiology and all of these things. So where did your understanding, I guess through yoga, but elsewhere, come of the spiritual and the energetic connection to the impact on your body?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wanted to say too that I'm wanting to be careful that we're not saying that we are causing
I understand
I'm
that.
not
Yeah.
yes, I know that you do, but I'm just wanting to say it that I don't want anyone who's listening to feel like that we are causing ourselves sickness. And sometimes, I mean, life is complicated, and um, I think the piece that feels important is for us to be able to uh, we give our power away to the doctors, to the authorities, I think is what I really want to highlight too is, and the knowledge and the wisdom is within us, and for us to be able to really start to slow down and listen and pay attention and to not ignore those little signs. And so the body is communicating with us. And so this is, you know, one piece is the physicality, right? Then there's the emotional part of it. It's like all of our lived life. And then the other piece that I always want to weave in is the spiritual. So, right? It's not just the physical body. There's also the spiritual. We are spiritual beings. And my connection to the nature, you know, it's like I begin my morning every single day right there before first light. I step outside and I bless my water and I drink my water and I visualize that health, that vitality. I want to receive the blessing of the nature coming into my body because I am the nature. And so you're asking me about the spiritual, and it's like, well, this is how it can begin. And I've been very fortunate to have a lot of different spiritual teachers in my life that are very nature-based teachers. And really, I have had the great fortune too of living. I live on acreage out in the woods. I've lived here for 30 years. And so my greatest teachers are right outside. It's watching the seasons, watching the land. And as I have been connecting deeper into my own body, well, here's my spirit. What's moving me? What is meaningful to me? And this deeper inquiry of, I can't, it's not just me out here in the world, right? It's like there is this connection. And I know that there are lots of words to describe that feeling to connection to spirit. We've got God, goddess, source, creator, great mother, whatever it might be. And this has been some of my deepest work. And even working with, you know, different plant medicines and different we might say shamanic practitioners. Was in an apprenticeship for like 15 years with Native people. And I have really found myself wanting to come back to the roots, to the indigenous teachings. And when I speak about indigenous, I'm even thinking about like my relations are from Norway and Switzerland. And so if we go back to my ancestors, they are indigenous peoples of the land. They knew what plants to gather, what medicines needed to be used to treat the body, how to attend a birth, what foods needed to be prepared, what were the stories, what were the songs, what were the rituals, the ceremonies. And then as my relations migrated out of their original lands, then some of these teachings were lost. And I feel so much that we as humans are seeking that. We're looking for our connection here again on the earth.
Yeah.
And we have it right here within our own bodies. This is it. We are indigenous. This beautiful body is native. And then we also have our our connection to the land, wherever it is that we are living, it's right there. Even
Mm.
those of you that are in the city, you got earth underneath your feet, you got sky above you. We can never be lost.
Mm.
And then it's like returning again to our original medicine. What are the foods that our lineage ate? And many of us now are very mixed. We don't just have one place in the world that we are from.
Yeah.
This is the modern people, right? And so we get to bring in these, what are the things that speak to us?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, so this is what, yeah, this is where it led me with your question about the spiritual. Yes.
Yeah. And,
Yeah.
and so much of what I want, the messaging that I really want to come through in this series is that we get to lay the foundation for our life with traditional wisdom. We actually don't need to learn anything else other than what the women that have come before us have learned in order to blossom and flourish. What we add on from the new can come on top, but without the traditional wisdom under us of how to support ourselves to blossom and flourish that already exists, then we're walking on wobbly ground. And I want to go back a little bit to the, being the creator of things, because it was one of the most empowering moments in my life when I understood that I was the one creating my health and happiness. And like this really didn't come through until I was about 36. So I'd spent many years being the victim of everything around me. I was the victim of this, that, like my husband left, so of course I'm miserable, sick and sad. I'm a single mother of 4 children, so of course I'm miserable, sick and sad. I left school without, like feeling like I was stupid and inadequate and all these. So I was just looking externally all the time. And it wasn't until I understand the very definition of empowerment is that I am 100% responsible for my health and happiness, never from a place of fault, blame, guilt, shame, but from a place of inquiry and curiosity. If I'm creating this, then I'm the one that can change it. If I am creating this, I'm the one that holds the power to create a different story. And as the Empress, this birthing, this creating, this abundant energy is the essence of everything that I'm talking about. Because when we do this in alignment with the natural world, with the way that we feed ourselves, dress ourselves, medicate ourselves, all the things, then that is when we can really turn things around. And so I just wanted to, touch on that from my perspective and my own story and journey. Was once I really took hold of that responsibility, that's when everything started to change. So if we think about the womb as a sacred place in our bodies, as this center that holds so much power and so much wisdom for women going into perimenopause, women into menopause, I feel like there is a depth of wisdom that you hold around this conversation that I would love to gather a bit of, because one of the things that I picked up as you were talking about it is a place of release as well. But then for somebody that stopped menstruating, somebody who thinks quite often very literally, when you talk about your work with our womb as being a source of wisdom, and how we connect with that as women, maybe not yet in menopause, but heading that way or in menopause. What is the particular take now?
Yeah, so we get to have these beautiful rites of passages in our life. And so our journey into, we could say into menopause, but it's really coming into elderhood.
Mm.
And so we, as a menstruating woman, this is one of the places too where we oftentimes give our power away, where we are, shove a tampon in, just get on with your day. Don't take time while you're bleeding to rest and restore. And and I know that there are so many women that really struggle with their womb space and with their menstrual cycle. And, it's like, hysterectomy is the #2 surgery in the United States. So there's a lot of wombs that are being cut out of women. And in my opinion, it's female castration. And this is me coming to you. And that's harsh. That's me coming to you who lost my womb. I lost my womb. And it was like in some ways my power being cut out of me. And so this has been about me reclaiming my power and reconnecting back into my womb, into the spiritual, energetic essence of it. And so I have, I came into menopause at a very young age. And here I am now at 55 years old, and I have been really listening to my body. When am I going to know that I'm in menopause? For my age, my life cycle. And about 2 years ago, I found myself on my knees going through a reckoning. And I was like, oh, I'm in menopause. Like, here I am, like something changed for me. And this was a moment for me to really assess and gather what needs to be cleared out. What is no longer going to serve me? I am no longer willing to settle for these things. I felt a fierceness come into me like I had never felt before, like give 0 F time of life. Like I will no longer stand for this. So a lot of things needed to be cleared. And the symptoms that women go through as they're making this journey, that's the grit, my sisters. This is what we have to overcome. This is your work. This is you gathering your power, your strength, your vitality, and letting those things go. All of the ways that you overgave, all of the ways you gave things away. And it's like, okay, so you're at this moment, and it's not, it takes time to make the journey. I kind of view it like you're climbing to the top of the mountain. It's a really steep mountain.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of switchbacks. There might be some storms. It might really be uncomfortable, but you're doing it. And when you get to the top, it's like, there you are. There's so many teachings and lessons.
Yeah.
The issue that I see is that we don't have great role models in front of us about what it means to be a wise elder woman.
Yeah.
We've got hags, we've got crones, we've got witches, scary ones in the forest, we've got fairy tales, we've got ugliness. We are being told that we are going to be dried up, useless, ugly, all of these things. And I'm here to tell you that I am living my most turned on vital life of my life here. I mean, it's just like incredible to me. And I've been tending and caring to my body, and it's available to all of us.
Yeah.
And so I'm really holding, this is my time to be in leadership. So those of you that are on the journey, it's like, it's okay, because you are being tested. You have to be forged in the fires so that you can step into being the wise woman, being the leader. And so then instead of bleeding and releasing every month with your menstrual cycle, you get to hold all of your power. And you get to continue then to walk with it and learn and grow into what it means to be an elder, because one day you're going to have your white hair. You're going to be the wrinkled elder woman, and people are looking to you. The women coming up behind me are looking to me. All of my, young friends that are in their 40s, 30s, 20s, they're looking to me. I'm their leader. I'm looking to the women in front of me, my mother, my mother-in-law in their 80s, the other wise women in front of me. It's like, show me the way. We haven't really been taught, right, how to be an elder woman in our power. This is the Empress for me. I know that Empress gets to move through all of the seasons and cycles of our life. But right now for me, sitting at 55, I'm in my Empress time, right? And I get to really sit on my sovereign throne, honor myself, honor the journey, honor who I have become, honor the medicine that I have gathered and that I carry, right? This is part of what I hear you sharing in this envision of Embody the Empress. This is it. And of
Mhm.
course, we don't have to wait until we're midlife to do it. Yeah.
I'm actually not religious, very spiritual, not religious, but I just want to say amen, sister. Like without being derogatory, that was just like I could capture that. You summed it up so beautifully, Suzi. That is exactly everything that I'm trying to get across. It's we have as women who are in, what that perimenopausal, menopause and beyond, we are the wisdom holders. We've been through the shit. We have learned so much. And there's a wildness that starts to rise up. I'm a massive Clarissa Pinkola Estes Women Who Run with the Wolves. If you haven't read it, pull it out.
Oh, so good.
And
Yes.
it is really connecting to the wild woman, which is the natural woman. The wild woman is the woman who has released the shackles of all the messaging, all the beliefs, all the shoulds, all the rule books, torn it up, thrown it out, and gone, actually, what is my truth? What am I a voice for? What are my values? What do I want?
Mm-hmm. So good. It's such
Yeah,
a juicy, powerful time of life.
yeah.
And this I know that it can be really challenging for women to navigate through it. And I always again look at the body. What is the body trying to tell you? Right? What are the symptoms that are coming up? What needs to be tended in your life? If we just try to override, medicate, all of the things, then we're missing what's the message that's there for us. That's the medicine. So
Yeah.
the more that we can slow down, listen, attune, tend to those things, there might be a whole lot of things that need to, come off the plate. And then you just get down to like the core essence of it.
Mm.
And truly, we get to move at a different pace, a different rhythm
Yeah.
at this time of our life. And that's okay.
Yeah. The metaphor that I've been giving is we come into the world as a dry sponge, and then we start, soaking in everybody else's beliefs, everybody else's thoughts, everybody else's rule books, and we just become adults and we become so saturated with all of this stuff. And there comes a time, and maybe this is, maybe this is this, perimenopausal, menopausal stage where we are so saturated and finally we just start to squeeze it. And it's like, I'm letting all of this go. This sponge only gets to contain what I choose.
Yeah, I'm thinking about like hot flashes, it's like we're
Yeah.
gonna burn all that excess stuff out, right? It's like that's like a
Love
power
it.
surge,
Yeah.
when those, and if we can reframe the way we're talking about, I mean, that was one of the things that you were talking about just a moment ago, is about like choosing that, like what kind of life do you want to live if we are um, feeling burdened by our symptoms and the way that we are feeling. There's an urging there. It's like, okay, we get to make a change
Yeah.
for ourselves.
Yeah.
We need to prioritize it. And I always say we don't need to be sick. And I can, again say we don't need to get cancer in order to make a change on our lives. That's radical,
Mhm.
right? We can make changes sooner than that.
Yeah.
And I'm not bringing any kind of shaming or judging to what people. I'm just want to encourage you. I'm urging you, sisters, listen to your sacred body.
Yeah.
She's got so much wisdom.
Yeah. And I do
Mm-hmm.
believe that God, Mother Nature, the universe is giving us the shove when we don't learn the lesson. It's like, if you're not going to, I'm going to tap, and it'll be gentle, and then it'll be louder, and then it'll be louder. And then eventually it's like this catastrophic thing, which is symptomatic of, we just weren't able, we weren't in a position to hear the message earlier. I think of myself, how many times I ignored the red flags. The red flags to me is when my gut was like, this is not a good idea, but my head was like, I'm going to do it anyway. It always comes back and kicks me in the bum every single time. And when I follow my gut, that intuitive knowing, and it makes no sense to my brain, there is no logic in it, it makes no sense to anybody else, but invariably they're the things that work out best. So this is one of my really strong messages: is please trust yourself first. So, what I want to do, I know you've got a beautiful experience for us. So, I am going to firstly ask you if there's anything that I haven't asked or anything that you want to bring forward before we go into your experience. Let me know, and we'll go from here.
No, thank you so much. It's just been such a pleasure to share with you, and it's feeling my own yeah, just feeling my own womb passion here, sharing my voice around this about tending to our bodies. Yeah, thank you.
Beautiful. All right. So I'm going to pop off and I'll just be make it on speaker view so that it's all your space. And when you're complete, I'll come back. Thank you so much, Suzi.
Thank you so much. So thank you for being on the journey with me, and I would love to invite you in. We've been talking a little bit about the womb and this beautiful space. And I really think about the womb space as a temple. And this is your very own sacred temple. And I always envision the temple in a nature place. And so I'd love to take you on a guided journey, because here I am sharing with you about listening and tending to your body, but it's like, well, how do we begin? Where do we begin? And so I want to give you an opportunity to come home to yourself again, this beautiful reunion. So if you would like to, you're welcome to lie down, get comfortable somewhere. You also can stay upright, but I will have you close your eyes and take your eyes off the screen so that you can feel into your own body. And you're going to bring one hand onto your heart and one hand onto your low belly, and then begin to deepen your breath. And your eyes are closed. And as you're breathing, you're going to feel your own life force come right up underneath your hands. And this connection of your hands to your own body is the beginning of this homecoming, this tending. So just noticing, taking in another breath. And just asking, checking in with yourself, how am I today? And just noticing what's here. We've been sharing this rich conversation. You might have a lot going on in your life. You might have emotion that's moving through you. And so just greeting what's real, what's here. And there's this beautiful connection here between the heart and the womb. And so focusing in on that hand that's on your heart, I want you to breathe into your heart and send that breath, that energy down to your womb. It's like a warming your breath, having your breath be like that fire that travels down to the womb. Sometimes I find it's easier to connect to our heart first. And then from there, hand that's on your womb, just feeling, you can even kind of give a little pressure there. So, oh yes, there's my low belly. Feel for bringing the breath up now to the heart. So you've got this connection, heart, womb, womb, heart. And then just take another breath there, opening up this pathway. Wonderful. Then I'm going to invite you now to bring both hands down onto your low belly, onto your womb space. And you've got these beautiful bones, these pelvic bones that create a bowl right around your womb space. And womb space to me is your uterus, your uterine tubes, your ovaries, but also bladder, rectum, and then everything that's held here. So it's more than just the uterus. And so just holding your hands right here onto your low belly. And take another breath. And then I'm going to invite you to bring your awareness now to the inside of your pelvic bowl. So you're going to just use your imagination and going to bring yourself on to the inside of your own self, into the inside of your bowl. And that helps if you just take a nice, big, soft breath and just envision it. And then I want you to call upon a place in nature. And maybe this is a place that you've been to before, or maybe it's just something that you see in your mind's eye. And I want you to bring that nature place all around the inside of your pelvic bowl. To me, the nature is always the place that I feel most at home. So we're bringing in this nature into the inside of you. And then just taking in what kind of plants are here, trees, flowers. Is there water in this nature place? And do you feel anything or sense anything in the air? Is there a breeze? Do you smell anything? And then looking up at the sky above you, what's above you? And then looking down at the earth underneath you. Just really letting this place bloom open inside of you. And this is a place that you can come back to anytime that you need to. Then I want you to envision a root that's going to go right into the earth of this nature place. And it's going to root you right on into the soil. And you're going to bring that root down there through the layers of the earth, the duff, the clay, the rocks, right down, down, down into the heart of the Mother Earth, rooting yourself here inside this nature place. And then from here, I want you to take a moment and you're just going to walk all the way around the inside of your pelvis in this nature place. And I want you to vision that you're just going to clear this space. It might be like the wind moving through the trees, and you're just going to vision walking and clearing this space of anything that doesn't need to be here. And it might be feelings, emotions, experiences that you've had. And this is a really rich practice. And there might be, you might come back here again and again. There might be certain experiences that you've had that you might want to take a little bit more time with. Maybe there were different traumatic experiences, different partners. Maybe there were different losses. Maybe there's places where you feel out of harmony. So just knowing that you can come and do this sweeping anytime you need. But right now, we're just going to kind of just walk and clear and just returning this space back into this natural harmony, just letting that wind come, blow through the leaves, the landscape, and just clear everything. And this is your homecoming, your temple space. We don't need any extra interference, just like we were sharing earlier in our conversation. The things that don't really resonate with us, we get to just sweep them out. This is part of the wisdom of the womb, is to release. So I want you to vision then, as you are sweeping and clearing, that everything that you're gathering up, I want you to send it down into that root. Just clear it right on out of this space. This is what the earth does. Going to release all of those things, just like when the leaves fall off the tree, you're going to let them go, and you're going to see it leaving your womb down out that root. We're going to offer it back to the Great Mother. She's going to turn it into compost, into nourishment, into fertilizer for our life. All of the things that we don't need, whatever they might be, we're just going to offer them back to the Mother. So just visioning that, clearing and then releasing it, letting it go down that route. And then taking in another nice full breath, feeling your bowl, feeling your nature place. Then I want you just to take a moment now. I want you to plant a seed here inside this beautiful garden inside your womb. And you can plant more than one seed, but maybe it's a seed for your health. Maybe you've got some creations that you are bringing forward in your life. Maybe you've got projects, you've got dreams. We're at this, beautiful time of the season where we can plant some seeds for what we want to cultivate and grow for this new year. So just take a moment, feel in what wants to be planted here inside of you, inside your garden. So placing those seeds here inside your womb. And they might be seeds of gratitude, seeds of love, seeds of hope. And then taking in another nice, deep, big breath. This is how your body can absorb it, just taking it in, integrating it. Then I want you to visualize that early morning dawn light, the way that color is, that feeling, the vibrancy of that color. And I want you to draw the color of that light right there into your beautiful nature place, into your womb space. And I want you to take a moment. I want you to walk now all the way around your pelvic bowl through this nature place. And I want you to bless this space with that beauty, with that light, with that feeling. And you're blessing the seeds that you have planted here. You're envisioning what it is that you want to fill your womb space. Vision it. Draw it in with that light, that color, that feeling. You're walking and you're blessing. And then as you've made your way all the way around, I want you to envision that root again. And I want you to draw the energy of the earth right up that root. Great mother right underneath you. Draw the energy, that mother's blessing, right up into your womb. Blessing your seeds, blessing your womb, blessing your body. She's right here for us all of the time, right underneath us. So calling upon her, allowing her to bless you, be received by her. And then right above you, at Father Sky above you, the sun, the moon, the stars, right there above you, Great Spirit. And just visioning there inside your nature place. And you might even envision it there right over your head, right above you. And just envisioning that light, that blessing, that holy blessing coming all the way down upon you, coming all the way down into your bowl, into your womb space, blessing your seeds, blessing your body, blessing your womb. Mother Earth, Father Sky, this beautiful blessing of that early dawn light, your seeds planted here. And just taking in another nice, full, deep breath. And taking a moment now and just bringing in that feeling of gratitude, the gratitude to be able to take a moment to be with yourself. And this is a moment too where we can come to the wisdom of our own womb. So I'm going to invite you to take another breath here into this holy space and just asking, is there anything that you want me to know? And you might hear nothing. That's okay. You might receive a vision, a feeling, a thought, a word. And again, you might not receive anything at all, but if we don't ask the question, right? So we get to just come and ask, is there anything that you want me to know? And then opening your senses, listening, feeling, sensing. This is also a place, if you've been having difficulties, struggles, if there's something going on for you in your womb space, you could also ask the question, what do you need for healing? And so let's all ask, because there might be something more here for you. What do you need for healing? And listening in, what does your womb wisdom want to tell you today? This sacred space is one of your wisdom keepers. This is a place that you can come to anytime you need. Focus, breathe, connect, and then you can ask whatever question you need. You might receive an answer, you might not. But this is a practice for you to be able to keep coming back to the center of your creation, to the throne of your power, and ask. And so just taking a moment now, another deep breath, just saying thank you to your womb. Thank you to the beautiful nature that came to support this guided meditation. And just knowing that you can come here again anytime you need. Then you'll return one hand again up to your heart, this connection, womb to heart. Another full breath, just feeling how the womb and the heart are in harmony together. These are your teachers here. And then you'll bring both your hands right in front of your heart in this gesture of gratitude, just this acknowledgement of your efforts, of your time here, of your focus, and just taking a moment and just bowing to yourself, bowing to all of the women around the world that are listening in at this time. We're acknowledging one another, acknowledging the nature, the land, the spirits, our own body, our womb, and just so much gratitude that each of us were led to be here inside Embody the Empress at this time. What a blessing, what a gift. So I'm saying thank you to you at this time. Blessed be. And then just taking in another nice big breath. And then you're going to begin to open your eyes. And then you'll begin to orient. So instead of coming right back to the screen, you can just look around you, look around the room that you're in, your beautiful space. Taking in another breath. And then we arrive back here together again. Somehow I can't hear you,
Sound.
Edwina.
That's all right. I
There
mute
you are.
myself. Thank you so much, Suzi. That was just so, so beautiful. What a divine practice. And I can imagine doing that with you several times, but then it becoming something that I can just do intuitively without the words as well. It just feels like such a clear alignment between womb and heart. Yeah, a gift. Your beautiful voice is quite mesmerizing. Thank you.
You're so welcome. I always feel like it's like, how do we begin? I'm wanting the women to have a practice that we can always return home to. And that's part of what I'm always offering is it's like, okay, here are the wisdom teachings. And it's really a remembering, right? So we get to remember that we can come into our womb.
Thank you. I know you've got a beautiful gift for our audience that will help them with this practice as well. Did you want to just take a
Yes.
minute to let us know what that is?
Yes. So one of the things that you had mentioned earlier too is like, I always think about how do I live a turned on life?
Yeah.
And I really think about it as the daily devotions. It's the little things that we do every day. And so I have a daily devotion practice that I am sharing with all of you that are here. And this is what I do every single morning. And this practice is the number one practice that all the women that I work with say is the one that changed their life.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to offer it. And I want to say it's so simple, and yet we forget to do it. And so sometimes it's the most simple things that are the most impactful. And so this daily devotion practice literally is you wake up, go pee, get yourself a glass of water, and go stand outside and face to the east where that new day is dawning. Feel your feet upon the earth and open yourself up to that holy blessing of a new day. And then speak some blessings for your life out loud into the clear air. And you've got your water there that's absorbing all of the sound, the light, the color, the bird song, and your whispered prayers. And I always start with, thank you for my life. Thank you for my life today. And then it's like you've got this beautiful day unfolding before you. How do you want to meet it? How do you want to walk it? And so just lay some blessings at your feet. It doesn't have to be fancy, but it's like, what's coming for you today? And how do you want to meet it? Right? Reminds me of what you said. And so then you get to speak those prayers. You get to open up your voice, speak your truth. And then at the end, say thank you, drink some of that water, and then live your one beautiful, precious life. Walk that prayer. And you get to do it again every day, every day, every day, daily devotions. It'll change your life.
Oh, magic. My final question for you ties into that beautifully, and maybe the answer will be that, or maybe it'll be something different. But if I was to ask you where you are and what you're doing when you feel that deep connection to inner peace, joy, and harmony with the natural world, where are you and what are you doing?
Wow. I I love to get myself outside. And one of the places where I feel so alive, well, anywhere outside in nature, but I love to take myself to the ocean,
Mm.
get
Mm.
my feet right there, my feet in the water, and to watch the sun set. There's just something so magical about the grandmother ocean is lapping, like the sound of the waves and just watching the sun descend, and then just the way the light and the color, and my feet are barefoot, and I feel so lit up
Yeah.
in my life. And this is, I just returned from Costa Rica, and that's why I go, is because I need to take myself back to the shores of
Mm.
the ocean.
Mm.
And if I can't, where I live, actually, here in my home, I don't have a sunset view because I'm surrounded by these magnificent tall trees, the guardians. And so I have to take myself up onto the hilltop so that I can watch the sunset. That's one of my
Yeah.
favorite times. And I get to, in that, I love to take a moment then again to speak my prayers. So I say them in the morning time and then in the evening. And in the evening, there's something for me where I'm visioning all of my loved ones, all of the beloved people, the people in the world that need care, that need love. I'm visioning it. It's traveling
Mm.
on that beauty, on the wind. And I so whisper those prayers out there. And you know what? People feel it.
Yeah.
And it helps me take this beautiful energy, this overflowing that I have, and do something with it. Send it out there. So that is one of the practices that I do that really keeps me connected.
Divine and generous practice. Thank you so much, Suzi.
So
Your
so
time,
beautiful.
your story, your experience, all of it has been such a generous give. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Edwina. Such a blessing to be here, and blessings to all of the women that are joining us here with this retreat, the Embody, the Empress. Such an honor. Thank you.
All right, beautiful souls, that is it from us for another interview in Embody the Empress, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. So much love. And bye for now.